Welcome to the show, everybody. Glad that you guys could join us. Tonight I'm making homemade chili in the Pampered Chef Rock Crock. So I'll put the recipe in the comments as well. I really don't follow one to the T. A little bit of experimentation. Almost every time my chili is a little different. This one has less beans than most. But I will put the recipe on how I created it in the comments below so you guys can check it out. But enjoy the video here. Alright, so the first thing I do is I chop up my veggies. I've got green pepper here and one large onion. So that'll be the first thing that you'll see me do. It's a really simple recipe, so pretty easy to follow. For those of you that have never used the Rock Crock before, it's probably one of the best things that Pampered Chef has. Between the Rock Crock and the Deep Dish Baker, those are the two that we've probably used the most recently. My family isn't really into a whole lot of peppers. Like, they don't like a ton of peppers in theirs. So we limit it to the green peppers for the most part. You can use different kinds of peppers in it if you like. These aren't spicy at all. Sometimes I put in green tomatillo just to add a little bit more kick. And honestly, if I put in the green tomatillo and I don't tell them, they don't even notice. Most of the time, it's still pretty mild. Tomatillos aren't too spicy, but it gives you a different flavor. The can of diced tomatoes that I use are chili ready tomatoes, so they're essentially tomatoes in tomato juice. They have a little bit of kick to them as well. Almost everything that we use is Kroger or Walmart brand. We don't get any of the name brand beans or anything like that, and we're making a chili. Honestly, chilies were made just kind of make whatever you had left over and kind of throw into a pot and make it work. But we'll do 2 pounds of ground beef in this one, 1 large green pepper, and then 1 large onion diced. Now, I don't always put all the onion in early. A lot of times I save some out for myself because I prefer some raw onion on top of my chili. So I keep a little bit of that out. So that's personal preference there. So totally up to you. Now the green peppers I cut in a bunch of different sizes. They'll cook down while the chili's actually cooking. You see a lot of different sizes in how I cut it. It doesn't really make a huge difference. I try not to make them too terribly small, but I think everybody honestly else would prefer that they were small in theirs. But I'm just going little by little here. Cut that piece out there. But again, a very, very simple recipe. 2 pounds of ground beef, 1 large green pepper, 1 large onion. You could probably put a medium onion in it and be okay. 2 cans of beans. So a can of black beans. It's like a 15.25 ounce can of black beans rinsed. And then a can of light red kidney beans for this one. And then I really like garlic. Usually it would be 3 pressed like garlic cloves, but I'm going to use minced garlic tonight since we have the minced garlic already. I've also been known to put celery in my chili. That's not always something that I do, but I am doing some beef broth in this one, so you can see we'll be using beef broth tonight, which is a little different than what I usually do. Quickly rinse off the cutting board here. I do have the Pampered Chef chopper. I could use that if I wanted to, but for the sake of not having to force Emily to wash it later, I'm going to avoid that. And yeah, I said she would wash it because that's really the reality. I tend to do the cooking, and she tends to clean up after the mess I make. If she were within earshot right now, she'd probably chime in, but that's a definite as to how we function. It's a fairly large onion, probably bigger than what we usually get. And the fam isn't a huge fan of onions, but they don't mind them when they're cooked. I still like having some of the raw onions, so you'll see me cut some of them down that are going to get cooked in, and then some others that I'll save for later. So if you have a favorite chili recipe that you make, I'd love to see it. You can put it in the comments below the video because I'm always looking for new ones. Like I said, I don't ever use the same recipe probably twice. This is kind of a combination of a couple different recipes that I've used and put together over the years. This will be all the onions that actually go into the chili itself. And I'll actually cook those, I'll brown those with the meat. When the meat's browning, I'll put those in there with that. I like to cook the onions with the meat. Just seems to give the beef a little bit more flavor. So what we're going to do from here is we'll get the meat going. So what I like to do, I'm going to put some extra virgin olive oil on the bottom of the rock crock. Turn up the burner to medium heat. And the directions say to measure. I don't ever measure my oils, which is probably a bad thing. But what I try to do is coat the bottom of the crock. As you see, just get it all over the entirety of the pan here. We'll cut open the ground beef. So original recipe calls for 1.5 pounds of ground beef. We tend to eat a little bit more than the 6 servings amongst the 5 of us. So we bust open a little bit more than 1.5 pounds. We just go full 2 pounds. And this is 80-20 ground beef, so nothing, you know, special. Oftentimes I'll also put in, and Emily's not a huge fan of it, but I'll put in stew meat as well if it's going to cook like all day. If we know we're going to cook the chili all day long, I'll put in some stew meat. I just think it gives it a little bit different flavor. So for me, that's kind of the reasoning behind that. And again, when you're making chili, you can pretty much do whatever you want when it comes right down to it. Having some trouble opening this bad boy tonight. You can hear the kids in the background. They're working on, Parker's working on his letters, I think. Bella's been helping him out all day today, so. Well, now they're working on numbers. All right. I stand corrected. So after handling this package with the raw meat, I will wash my hands. That'll be off camera, but you'll be able to hear me run the water, obviously. Put this knife in the sink as well. One thing that you'll notice with the rock crock, the handles do get pretty hot. I do have a pot holder here just in case that becomes an issue for me. Sometimes it catches you off guard, but it does get pretty warm. Just going to break up the beef here, the hamburger meat. Turn the heat up while I'm at it. Not quite getting hot enough yet, but it will get there. While we're kind of waiting for that to get going, you can see the oven is on. I'm going to rinse my black beans here. The black beans are the only things that really get rinsed and drained. Everything else comes straight out of the can. Got a very small can of tomato paste, the diced chili ready tomatoes, kidney beans. So we're done with the olive oil, so I'll put that aside. You can smell the crock starting to get a little bit warm here. My Pampered Chef can opener. I've had this one for quite a while. Might be time for us to get a new one, although this one has held up. Open my tomato paste there. Get my tomatoes open here. Meat starting to sizzle a little bit. So the prep time for this meal really between 25 and 30 minutes. You can go a little faster, just depends. You don't have to cook it too terribly long. Right now we're at about the 16-minute mark, I guess. The meat's going. One of the cool things about the rock crock is there's actually a burner that comes with it that you can get. So instead of using the tabletop, you can actually cook it. You can use it as a slow cooker if you like. You can see it smoking up a little bit here. If your ground beef looks really greasy, like you wind up getting to the point where you see there's a ton of grease in the bottom of the rock crock when you're done browning the meat, you can always drain that. If you're trying to make it a little more lean, that also helps. The 80-20 doesn't burn too bad as far as the leaving a ton of fat when all is said and done, so usually it's not too bad. I'm going to scrape some of the onion in here, just a little bit to get it going. A teaspoon of the minced garlic, just to get that going through too. let that cook for a little bit, and I will be right back with you guys. Thanks for watching. We're at about the 20-minute mark. I'll keep an eye on the elapsed time as well and kind of let you know where we're at when I come back. Alright, we're back after about 5 minutes. Ground beef is completely browned. I'll put the rest of the onion in here. By rest of the onion, I mean the rest of the onion that's actually going to go into the chili that's not going to be on the outside dice to put on top of the chili raw. We're also going to throw in the green peppers at this point. This is the mix and chop. The item number is 2583, so you can find that in the catalog as well. I use it all the time, fairly religiously, honestly. Anytime I make chili or anytime I'm making anything, tacos, anything where the ground beef just needs to be broken up, I'm gonna put the beef broth in now. It's gonna be 2 cups of beef broth. "16 ounces of the beef broth will fill me at the top of the measuring cup here." This is actually a really cool Pampered Chef measuring cup as well. You can measure liquids on the cup side and then literally flip it and measure your solids on the underneath side. So our beef broth is in there. Go ahead and put our diced tomatoes in. Sometimes I do more tomatoes than that, but just keeping a small batch this time. Black beans that have been rinsed. And drained. Mix those in here. And you'll see we're almost getting full to the top of the rock crock, but again, the recipe only calls for 1.5 pounds of meat. We did 2 pounds instead. Handles are still cool right now. The sides are warm, but our handles are still good. I check them every so often just to be on the safe side, so I know when I pick it up if I'm going to take this out to the table. If we're not just going to scoop it up and serve it here at the stove itself, just so we know whether it's going to be hot or not. Then the tomato paste. Scrape that all the way out. The original recipe only calls for 3 ounces of tomato paste. I tend to use a little bit more. This is a 6-ounce can. It just adds a little bit more of that tomatoey flavor. Mix that in. So again, we're on high right now. Everything is now in with the exception of the chili powder and the ground cumin. Our kids love mac and cheese. I know most kids do. One thing that we've discovered with some of the chili is the chili mac is really good. So we're going to do some of that tonight. I've got water in a pot on the other burner back here. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on to high so we can get that going. This pot that you see back here actually survived the clean setting on the oven at our old condo as we were getting ready to move and we were trying to clean it out. Made it all the way through, so still live and kicking. If you like to add more colors to your chili, instead of just using a green pepper, you could add a yellow or red pepper as well, and I've done that in the past. A lot of times I'll buy the bags of multicolored peppers just so I have the different colors. For the sake of tonight, I didn't get those packs. We just did the green bell, but a lot of times we'll do the yellow, orange, and red, like mini pepper bags. While we could have used the garlic press today instead of the minced garlic and done fresh garlic. For those of you who haven't seen the garlic press from Pampered Chef, we have one of those as well. You can take a look at that here. Just pop the garlic in, press, boom, done. Real simple. Awesome little tool. Obviously could have used that tonight, just chose not to. Just because we already had the minced garlic. We also have the grater here to grate the cheese if we choose to do that. I'm going to rinse out the bowl that we had the green pepper and onions in, because I'm going to put the raw onions back in this bowl once I get those all chopped up. You can see the chili starting to bubble a little bit. I'm going to put the cumin in at that point, right as it starts to bubble. I just sprinkle a bit on the top. I don't actually ever measure that out. Just a little bit of a sprinkle there. And I know everybody that's wondering why I don't measure. It's always something different for me. It's never a perfect science. When it comes to the chili powder, I do the same thing. Kind of cover the top. Make sure it's pretty and red. Get it mixed in a little bit. Once I mix that in, I'll hit it one more time. with the chili powder. And pretty red on the top. And then mix that in. So we're at about the 35-minute mark at this point. A little longer than what I usually take to make it. But I'm going to turn it down a little bit on the heat side. Got it covered. Let it cook for a little while. I finished cutting up these onions. Pampered Chef has a ton of great tools that you can use as far as, you know, preparing your meals. The rock crock, like I said, is awesome. Emily wanted me to make sure that I told you guys that you can actually put it in the microwave. You can also throw it out on the grill. So that's something to keep in mind. I've not done that yet, but definitely something that'll probably happen this summer as we do veggies and things like that. But definitely one of our favorite things. Bear's looking to see if I dropped anything worth his time on the floor there. Nothing, pup? Yeah. He lives with disappointment. He hasn't figured out that you shouldn't hover near the fat guy when it comes to food, because I'm not dropping much. Most of it's going in my mouth. So as we wrap up here, as I start cleaning up some of the mess I made, very little of the mess I made, honestly. We'll have the mac and cheese done when we come back, and then we'll show you the finished product. Welcome back, everybody. We have cooked our macaroni and cheese, getting ready to strain it. We'll do all the good stuff you have to do with that mac and cheese. Maybe I can actually get Emily to come grab me the milk. The chili has been cooking that whole time. It's nice and boiling. That butter in that mac and cheese. Of course, the dog is barking because he was left outside by the children again. Turn the chili down to simmer at this point. That beautiful cheese sauce packet. By far the worst part of this meal. I only made 1 box of mac and cheese. Probably could have made 2 just to give us a little bit more, but again, wasn't trying to overcook tonight. Usually when I make chili, I make way too much chili. There's a joke on the internet that if you see the big pot come out, you know you're eating chili for a week. I think that's pretty valid. For us, most of the time that is true. The Rock Rock is pretty large though, so you do get a few meals out of this. So for me, it's just a little bit of mac. A little bit of mac and cheese. And I'll put the chili over the top. AJ's excited because dinner's done. He just walked by and was like, oh, it's done. So throw the onions on. And we've got the cheese here as well. In this case, pre-shredded medium cheddar cheese for me. A little bit on there. And there you go. You got your meal. It's easy. Easy cleanup. Good to go. About 40 minutes tonight. A little longer than normal. But everybody will be able to eat and we'll be good to go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of our show. Be sure to take a look at the catalog. Almost everything you see here is a Pampered Chef product. They can be picked up as part of the party this week. But we'll have a number of different things that we make along the way during the party that you can see. So be sure to follow along and we'll see you next time.